Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be on episode number 26. And this one is going to be with Omeg the Orc. And I think this one is quite special just because I have a pretty big fondness for the Orcs. What they actually represent, how they operate, the organization is just, I would think, really, we haven't seen anything like this before. And what I kind of mean by that is I've never seen a organization of, let's say, role players, right, over decades play the same game and still be so tight knit. Um, I haven't never seen it. And if you have, if you know, please, send me an email. Let me know. But I just the orcs are so much fun to fight, to kill, to laugh with, to play jokes on. I mean, every time I stream, if I go with the orcs, it's like it's all in good fun because they are. So just to give you a quick example, we were fighting. I think there was two of them, and I told the guys Discord. I was like, "Hey, wait, let me talk to him." I talked to him in the heat of battle. I paid them off, right? Because that's their code, and they went and to go attack the person who I paid them off to go like right, like something like that to me is just very very difficult to find. Like period, right? I mean, no one, I think, at least I think, will hold true to their code in the heat of battle, right? Other than the orcs. Like no one else will do this. And I was just always curious. Like Omeg himself is definitely a very vicious PvPer. With his lethal fencer, man, this guy is no holds barred. And when they come at you, I mean, they're coming like a freight train, right? Like they are not afraid of death. They don't care if they're outnumbered. I mean, they are just swarming, right? And usually they have the numbers. Is normally how this works. But what I've kind of seen, that's why, and you get to hear in this episode, I talked to him about the organization behind the scenes. How do they divide up the orcs, and then how does this all work? Because there are a ton of people that are in the orc guild, and we go through everything from trolling people to them getting dry looted, all of it. So I really hope you guys enjoy this episode. This was a ton of fun to produce. And this will also probably start segueing into some more of the sponsored content to just help this podcast keep going, keep the wheels on. So throughout this episode going forward, you might hear like a 1 minute promo in the middle, and it's just going to be me promoting something that I use. I only have really one main sponsor for the podcast at this moment, so it's nothing gonna really annoy you, I don't think at all. So just an FYI of stuff that's coming up. My next episode after this is going to be about a new, I can't even really say game, but an existing game, but with a new UO flair on top of it. And some of you know what I'm talking about, but that releases in June. So I'm really curious to kind of check that out and see what that's all about. So that's going to be the next episode for next month. But until then, guys, thank you so much sincerely for your support, and we'll catch you next time. All right, guys, I'm sitting here with Omeg the Orc, and first of all, thank you, Omeg, for joining me. Much appreciated.
Not a problem. I've been listening to all your podcasts since you joined the Outlands world, so I figured why not join and give you some info.
Yeah, I think, and it hopefully is represented very well on stream, but even off stream, I am a huge, I would almost say fangirl of the orcs secretly. So now it's out there in the public. But I want to first kind of like dive right into a question that really interests me. Where does your name come from? Like, how did that come up?
So my name is actually shortened from what I used to go by on every player shard I've played in the past, and all the way back to my OSI days. It used to be Omegutho, so it used to be OMEGUTHEO, which
Okay.
was derived off a NPC orc. that I found wandering around on OSI one of the days, and I just changed a couple of letters, and ever since then I've been known as Omegutho. Well, now Omeg.
Okay, I'm glad you did Omeg because yeah, I won't even try to repeat what you said.
Yeah, what was crazy? What was crazy when I started a couple months after the shard Nerol had me come over, and
Yeah.
that name was taken. The full name was taken, Omegutho already, and I
Wow.
was really confused. I messaged Owen, went through all of it, and he's like, "Yeah, someone's already taken that name." So I just went with Omeg, and now I like it a lot better, actually.
Yeah, I think it's easier. I think for a lot of us that don't understand, Orcish, the language, and then the naming and all that, I think Omeg is a good. I like it because I can pronounce it anyway. Okay, so I want to turn almost go into a time machine here. Let's turn back the clock. Walk me through when you got introduced to, UO. When did that all happen?
Man, so it started, I've been playing since I was 10, 11
Wow.
years old, so like 99, 98. How it all started was I had some friends that lived nearby. I grew up on a tiny little island of like 400 people. So we didn't have much to do besides rock our 28K connection and play on, 233 megahertz computers. So um,
Right.
I heard of the game before, and when I went to middle school, one of the teachers, Mr. Madison was his name, and he was a history teacher. And I don't know, we were talking about before class or something, and I mentioned Ultima, and he's like, "I play Ultima." I was like, "No way." He goes, he goes, "I'm so busy these days, so busy. So here's my copy." So he gave me his very first copy of the game. He gave me the manual and everything, and
Wow.
so then I got it home. Then it was to ask the parents,
Yep.
"Hey, so this whole monthly pay thing," and of course my dad didn't care, but my mom was so confused on why would I pay monthly for a video game.
Right.
So yeah, it was especially being on the island and everything like that with a horrible connection, 28K at best, and
Yeah.
finally I don't know what I can't remember exactly how I convinced him to let me play, but I think it was to play with my friends that were
Okay.
also on the island. It was brothers that played for a long time. They started right when UO came out. So yeah, Mr. Matson gave me that. I can't remember what disc it was. I think it was the first one, and
Wow.
sure as heck. And
Well,
I
and
looked through the book and everything.
it's funny. I mean, I know you mentioned you're on an island with 28K, but I mean, I wasn't on an island and I was still on 28, 8 for a while because honestly, unless your parents were really like technically, with it, I guess, right? To get a 56K modem, if I recall, it wasn't cheap.
No, not at all. And one thing I had going with me is my mom's brother, my uncle. He was super into computers, and my grandpa was kind of. And my grandpa did have a 56K modem,
Oh,
which
wow.
was nice. And he played some strategy, turn-based games or something online. But
Yeah.
yeah, and eventually they saw I was so into the gaming that we got a second phone line, which was ginormous. It was such a huge improvement getting that second phone line, so I can
Right.
actually play a lot more.
Oh yeah, I think people forget how far we've come because I mean, the shard will go, Outlands will go down for 30 minutes and people,
They
lose their
lose their
mind.
mind.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I just go to see the GIFs roll into Discord, all the different "Where did you find that GIF? I've never seen
Right.
that one before," or the memes and so on.
Oh yeah, no, it's outrageous. So we've come a long way. So okay, so you were there pretty much for the birth. When you first log in, what shard did you pick and why?
So, the shard, how I picked it, like, I saw all the names. There was a lot of different servers. I don't
Right.
know, it was so many different names, so I leaned on, my buddies who I don't know how they picked it, but they picked Great Lakes, which, with being on 28K really screwed us over because I'm in Washington State, Pacific Northwest, and so
Yeah.
picking Great Lakes, I'm not sure why they did, but, so I joined up with them and, just got my feet running on that, and now I'm still playing years these days.
Yes, you've gotten bit by the UO addiction like we all have.
Oh,
So
it's brutal.
now when did you start playing? What character template? Like what did you gravitate towards? Like what did you want to do?
So At first, I was into taming, so I had to catch a ferry to go to school from like 6th grade all the way up past senior year. I had to catch a ferry every morning.
Okay.
So I had a lot of downtime. So I would read the Ultima strategic guide. I had that guide from my teacher
Yeah.
with all the different stuff. I didn't know what the heck I was reading, but I was looking at like the animals and stuff like that. Like I wanted to tame alligators so I can have a group of alligators attack people.
Right.
And so I leaned towards like a tamer. I think it might have been a fencer or something, a spear guy, but it was definitely a tamer to start out.
Yeah. And, and if I remember back then, or I don't even know now, but like taming there, you didn't level pets, right?
No, no, there was no leveling of pets. There was 0 control slots. So like I
Right.
said, I wanted 50 alligators to go attack on walruses, because my taming was whatever you bought it at. I think it was 50 at the time, still buying it at 50. So that's all I had.
Right. And now, okay, knowing what you know, this question might be interesting. Like what does a sandbox, I guess, really mean to you? Because given back then, to me at least, it was a very foreign concept to just say do whatever you want.
Man, it blew my mind. Like these are people's houses. Like I was
Yeah.
because going even back further, my grandpa, he's really been into computers since I've ever been around, and
Yeah.
he had an Apple IIe computer with the black and green screen, and he had the Ultima floppy disk.
Wow.
So I actually played Ultima before Ultima Online. Granted, I don't remember much of it besides hitting Y for yes and N for no,
Right.
but so I got the gist of like the knights and the wizards and stuff like that. But the sandbox part of I was always playing quest type of games, or wrestling games on the N64 or something,
Right.
go along that. So Ultima was my first sandbox experience, and oh, I've never looked back. And I compare everything I play to Ultima now, even 22, 25 years later.
And I'm gonna go off the rails for a second because you mentioned something that like is a dirty passion. Do you remember the WCW game on N64, like the best wrestling game of all time?
100%
What was it called?
WWF. I had the only one it was WCW Nitro.
Yes.
Yes, and I played that one with Hulk Hogan and everybody on
Yeah.
that one. And I had WWF No Mercy, and my friends would always come over. I had 4 controllers, and we would just rock out to that or Super Nintendo with Mario.
Because I remember what I liked about the N64. I didn't have No Mercy because back then, man. I mean, you remember this. You didn't get like, oh, I'm gonna get this game, this game. It was like you had one, and that was
Yes.
what you had. And I had
Yeah.
Nitro, and I remember the controls were just so awesome. It was like arcade style with still a little bit of if you pressed, like I think it was like A and up, it did a suplex, whatever. It made
Yeah.
sense, but it wasn't overly complicated. It was just I don't know, man. It was
It
difficult
was
to
awesome.
explain. Yeah.
You look at games these days, and you can rub your right shoe if you press, rub the joystick in a circle real quick.
Yeah.
I don't know. My kids still show me stuff on these new games.
I know. My son and I played the WWE game a couple of years ago, and it's just even he was like, some of these moves are just it's so complicated. I'm like, it feels like you're at a job
Yeah,
trying to do.
exactly. My brother, he's still huge into wrestling, and so we talk about it here and there. And
Yeah.
we were talking how like even the video games, the wrestling games now, they're they're still kind of blocky when you move around and punch,
Right.
which is identical to what we had. I'm like, well, the graphics got better, but the layout is
It's the
interesting.
same with 18 more controls now or
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
exactly.
Okay, so getting
So
back on
cool.
the rails. Sorry, that was just a cool
Oh,
segue.
no problem. I love it.
But so okay, so yeah, Sam, because one of the things that really hooks me about UO, and I know it does other people, is you know there's still some things in this 22, I don't know, 24-year-old game that I haven't seen before. And you said housing. When
Yeah.
I go into a game, right, as soon as I see an instant screen, it's like that breaks immersion right off the bat when I see that.
Ex Yeah, and I played, different games in the past,
Right.
and I played Shadowbane. I was huge into
Oh yeah,
Shadowbane
yeah, yeah.
and to Star Wars Galaxies. and my computer couldn't run either of them. I
Yeah.
minimum graphic, just minimum settings all around. But I wanted to see how the game played out, and that it just I would always go back to UO. Like, okay, so why don't they have this? Like,
Right.
UO came out 15 years, like 10 years before this game came out. Why? Yeah, they have better graphics, but the base of the game, the core of it's still not the same.
Yeah, and it strikes me as just so odd as there's a few that have like non-instance housing, not many, but I'm like truly in this, in 2021 with all the technology, I mean, there's no way it's like a server side restriction or whatever. It's like there has to be a way to have housing like it is in UO because I think people don't understand until you experience it where you're like, oh, that's Joe's house. Like, oh yeah, he's a real prick. I know that guy. It just I don't know. It says something, about the game that
100%.
I
Like,
don't know.
when you hide outside someone's house for until they, come home and you just shoot them when they go into their door, it's just you never get that anywhere else.
Yeah. So the backstory for everyone listening is, it was near last summer, and I don't remember the all the trolling and the BS I did before that, but I do remember like it was yesterday. I was running back from PvP. I mean, like hot, like running in hot. I was coming back to my house, and I didn't see it because I was even streaming at the time. It was even better. I pushed someone. I said, you push someone invisible. I didn't even really think about it. As soon as I open the door, there's 20 orcs, and I'm instantly killed. And it was still.
We were still laughing, and we still in our Discord play the GIF. Someone recorded the whole interaction. And then we have layer it with your face, just in complete shock. If we have a horrible night, we just play that little clip of you just getting
Oh, and
destroyed.
I think it was a special moment too because you rarely get to see someone's actual reaction to
Oh,
it.
100%. I think that's what makes the clip, because we do that stuff all the time. Like,
Right.
we hide in dungeons, we set up ambushes, and stuff, but see, someone saving that clip from you streaming, and we got to see your face when it happened, was absolutely amazing.
Because I think a lot of people, they're not going to admit it, but, I'm sure there's banging of the desk, frustration, anger. Like, they're never going to tell you that, but oh, I know it's there.
Oh, man, I'm working too much now, I hardly play, but you should see the DMs I get when they see my name pop up, and I'm assuming it's because my name's kind of easy to say compared to half the other orc names, so
Right.
they just message me instead, and the hate mail I get on mine from I'm not even there, and I still get the hate mail half the time, and it's just,
Yeah.
yeah, I can't imagine. They messaging Owen about us, they're doing this wrong, and they're like, "Just be Owen message, just get better," and so it's
Right.
awesome.
Oh, I know. So okay, and sorry, this just a fun story, but okay, going back. So you're playing. How do you get involved with the orcs? How did that happen?
So we always bring this up every once in a while when we get a new batch of, snaggas, our low rank guys, and they
Yeah.
always ask, "Hey, how did you start?" and stuff like that. And we always bring it up, and my memory's shot from football, but I think what happened is I started doing like mining or something like that just so I can try to get money. That was the way to get money,
Right.
is mining. Just keep mining. And with my connection, hey, I can do that. I
Right.
can't hunt, but I can mine, sure.
Yeah.
So I think I still think I even had my alligators at that point, but I had mining as well. And so we used to live outside, man, I can't even think of the town, but we lived across this bridge, the Chaos Shrine.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so I would mine, there's a mountain wrapping around there, and I went around there and I just got swarmed one day, and they were on foot, and I just got swarmed, it just done. And
Yeah.
it blew my mind, and so I kept going back there and trying to see, and one day I think I found their website or something like that, and everybody's like, "Yeah, just war 'em," because bloodrock had the most wars in Ultima
Okay.
history.
Yeah.
We had 226. We have a snap screenshot or whatever
Wow.
from Stratix, but 226 wars and we were chaos, and so we would accept all wars and all like that. But Yeah, so I made an orc one day, and like I said, they told me to go find a name. So I was like, okay, and we didn't have name generators and stuff, on the internet. Now we send them to a name generator to come up with a name because there's no names on Outlands.
Right.
So yeah, so I came up with a name and started and realized really quick that I can't PvP. There is not a shot.
Right.
There's no way I can PvP with my connection and everything else and skipping around. And so I continued my mining adventure, but they wanted me to still fight and have hiding. So I was a miner with hiding and macing. So I'd run around with a
Okay.
warhammer or go mining, and that's all I did. And the stories that came from that because of my connection is, whew, it was crazy.
Well, yeah, and I think there's something to be said about, this game about it's not all about, fighting or killing PvP. You can literally, and even now, today in Outlands, you can mine and still make millions of gold and be an important part of the economy.
Like even today, I haven't been playing much, but I support 3 or 4 houses, our guild houses, and load up the shelf. So I'm making 30 kegs of heal, 30 kegs of cure, 30 kegs of refresh, and
Right.
but we have to buy the resources somewhere. So if we don't, we try to get new people to help out with the resources, but
Yeah.
we pay people. All right, we need leather. Pay them for leather or iron.
Right. Oh yeah, and I think that's another like just component to this game that still just it's crazy to me. Like no other game has felt like so important of the economy. Like you have to do stuff to sell to other people. Like in other games, it's just kind of you just have like an auction house, right, or something kind of just not personable, right?
And I think like Shadowbane, they had some like an auction house or something like something along those
Yeah.
lines. Star Wars Galaxies, they kind of had a UO style, but they also had a computer, like a little kiosk where you
Yeah.
just go buy stuff there. It wasn't really personal. People just throw it on there and you say yes or no when it comes across your screen type of deal.
Yeah.
But UO, like now it used to be what IRC and ICQ, but
Yeah.
now it's Discord. And hey, man, I'm looking for this, and someone will send you a DM, especially Outland. Someone will send you a message within 15 minutes, of
Right.
needing, and then they'll fill your request.
No, I know. And it's something that is just, it's so hard to find that component. And it still strikes me as odd that no one has, tried to replicate that or just at least put it in there, like just, hey, the economy is player driven, right? I mean,
Yeah, like, do any other games really? I'm not too head over heels in like EverQuest. Like, does any other games have like or WoW even have vendors, like player ran vendors even?
no, Albion does something close where all of the loot is player generated, like where there's some components like a black market vendor that whoever resells some of the goods gets put into like drops player or something. It's a pretty cool like system, but it's still not like UO where you have an actual player vendor. Um, I don't know why no other game like EverQuest I know was a auction house style. Same thing with like WoW, but yeah, no one's ever done the vendor. I don't know, and it's very puzzling because even the games, the big MMOs on the horizon, I don't think they're offering, that at all. And it's really weird to me because I would feel that in this day and age, there's a lot of role players, a lot of people that want to express themselves, and it doesn't give you that option.
Yeah, not at all. And I'm wondering if I've listened to the other podcasts, and it's like I've always thought about that, and like we must be missing something somewhere. We have to be missing something. Like
Well, I think it's people they haven't experienced it, right? A lot of the masses, so they don't know what they're missing, right?
that could be it, and maybe need some developer that played you up. Well, what Garrett played or made Albion? Is that the game you played?
No, he made Shroud of the
Right,
Avatar,
okay.
and that's a very sprinkled in. There's a ton of UO components to it. I think where Shroud struggled, it had a bit of an identity crisis for a couple of years, and it was a bit rocky. I think now it's on a pretty good track. Like there's updates, they're kind of got back on, but I think it burned a lot of people at the beginning because it was honestly pitched a little bit as a UO 2.0. And it didn't work out that way.
These days, if you don't hit it out of the park right when you launch or something, you're gonna lose half your player base right there.
Yeah, I know. Well, and that's why I've been trying to get a lot more like top tier PvPers on here because that min max lifestyle, man, it's another level. Like I'm not that way at all, but you know what I'm talking about. People got spreadsheets, damage counter. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man, we have one of our guys. Actually, we're up to a couple of the guys that they literally will go. There's an NPC you can buy, and you can track your damage over
Yeah,
and everything. And they're punching out numbers, especially with this new tamer patch. They are literally testing every single pet and seeing, what this pet does per minute, per hour,
right.
going down, and oh, this one's 10% better, do this one. And I'm just like, just tell me what to do. I just tell me what combo, what war fork or Chris do we use, and I'll go from there.
Right. Oh yeah. No, I'm very the keep it simple, stupid type mentality.
Yeah, and I played in what Age of Shadows and stuff right when they
Yeah.
start getting item based, where the percentages and stuff like
Right.
that. And I dabbled in that, but it was still, hey, tell me what's the best weapon? I'll just rock that. I didn't really care about true min max type thing.
Okay, so you answer kind of a question we're going into. So you played up until Age of Shadows. That's when you stopped.
So I played after Age of Shadows. I played until what, 2005, 2006, right? I graduated '06. So I think it was right around there I saw like the Ninja expansion, I think it was, cuz I
Oh
was
yeah, yeah, the samurai.
yeah, the samurai, cuz I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
during Malice with the it's the necromancers and the
Right.
whole paladins, cuz all I remember is getting spammed by someone using holy light over and over again, cuz we as orcs, most of us don't use magic for,
Right.
so I couldn't use any of those type of spells, and that's all that they did. That was the min max at the time, was holy light spamming, and
Yeah.
that was one of the. I think that might have been my turn off for Great Lakes and OSI at that point.
Well, and yeah, I remember I quit on it was Pub 16, and when that release, Age of Shadows came, yeah, that's when I stopped because back then, we're kids. We have much more time to play. I was playing all sorts of games. I was heavy into Diablo too. And when that came out, it was like, I already have Diablo, which is very item based percentage, that which I loved. But when they put that into UO, I don't know, it lost some of the luster to me. I wasn't really interested to me.
Yeah, UO had its own thing, and they started implementing things from other games. And I think that's kind of, Age of Shadows. A lot of our orcs, went away, and I think that was start of the decline. Granted, I was probably still playing way more than I needed to be,
Sure.
but my grades reflected that. But I played way more. But I think that was the true starting to slowly decline, because, like you said, there's still Diablo, and people were playing that. That filled the niche for that type of play, not UO.
Yeah, and I talked about this last night when I was streaming because someone brought up the whole trammel thing and stuff like that. It's I don't think people realize the hard decisions that they had to make because you look at Outlands and let's pump up the numbers. Let's just say there's 5,000 people, right? Total. Let's just say, right? That's so small compared to millions that
Oh, yeah.
were playing this game where you have to make a decision to keep feeding these millions of people content and changing stuff that I do not envy their position back then at all.
Neither do I, and I don't even envy Owen and Luthien and all them, because
Right.
they do a couple changes and people just lose their minds, and
Mm-hmm.
it's absolutely insane. It's like, hey, just let them breathe for a second. They're just seeing if it's gonna work. Like,
Right.
it's not, especially being a player server, it's not set in stone. So just let us see how it plays out, and I'm sure they'll go from there. And Outlands has been, we played a lot of different servers.
Yeah.
Nero has dragged me into so many servers, going from Divinity and UOR. There was a T2A one or something like that, and
Yeah.
this server has been so good on just just being able to switch on command, or just letting them play out, and getting the core base of people happy. That's all. I think that's what you need to do. The core base.
Yeah, and I think too that this is my private opinion, but it's a business, right? And I think you have to run it like a business. The patch notes that Outlands does, it operates in a very business like sense, and I think that is what a lot of shards don't do. It's just oh, my friend Bob created a server. And we're kind of running it just like that. When you really need to run it as a business, you have to. It's just a necessary thing to me.
Oh yeah, they're putting out more content than I think, even like WoW or any of the other big games right now, or Warzone, the first person shooters. They're releasing
Yes.
what, once a month? Once,
Yeah.
and I've never seen a game put out this much content with like I'm unpaid staff. Like, if this is volunteer work, I'm sure there's stuff, behind the scenes, but it's unpaid. This is all, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh yeah. No, I think so. And jumping back into your story. So, what happened after? So just so I understand this, you were with the orcs the entire time.
Yeah, 100%. So I started going. Well, I was so we used our lowest level rank was called a peon back then, and I was
Okay.
a P. Became like, I was active all the time, but I wasn't a PvPer. Like, I couldn't fight, and so
Right.
I came up with RP stories. Like, I've role played that I was turned into a blacksmith and a miner at the same time, and I only got up to like 80 blacksmith, but that's all you needed to create exceptional ring mail.
Right.
I became a peon trainer, so we used to have to take a test and so on. So I've went through the ranks, and now I'm considered a raider, which is like an elder rank. And I think Nerul started just before me, but besides that, I'm right underneath him in active orcs from back then.
Right. And jumping, you went on all these different shards. Like how does it work for the orcs? Does Nerul just say, "Hey, we're all going to this server," or how does kind of that background work?
So I think it was, so what, it was IRC and ICQ for the longest time,
Yep.
and what, oh 06, I was in '06. I was the last active chieftain, like the boss on Great Lakes.
Okay.
It's me and just a couple other people, and Nero always brings it up because there's pictures of me with the Berserker's Maul with its bright red, and I was wearing a bright red cape, and I kind of went trammy a little bit,
Yeah.
dabbled feet into it, which is, looking back, was way unorcish, but Nero, so people come back, and we don't want to bump them up right away to where they were,
Yeah.
like Majokas or anything like that. If you were originally main character Majoka, yeah, you're going to be a Majoka because that's such a high rank within the orcs. But you start off low still, and then once you prove that you're going to be active, you bump right back up. At least one of your characters back up to what you were in the past.
Yeah. No, I think no other. I'll just say organization that I've seen has been so just dedicated to the cause for this like amount of time. Is that fair to say? I don't know if anyone else has done it.
Well, so right now we're actually there. There's the Blood Clan, the Shadow Clan, Boulder Fist, and us. Boulder Fist is kind of on this server, but we're the big ones. But we've absorbed all the other clans. We have a big Shadow Clan presence in our in our group, but
Yeah.
I don't see any other guilds that have played what, since so what, 22 years,
Right.
23 years. I don't. I still tell people to this day, at work or whatever, we're talking about games. I'm like, man, I still play with the guys I played when I was 11. I've never even met them face to face.
Yeah, no, that totally. No, I get that. I mean, and I think that camaraderie that you've seen is just it's unheard of, I think. And so explain to me too, were you always like a role player or what kind of fuels you to do that?
So, I was so young. So, like I said, I played those wrestling games, and Bloodrock was my first role play group. And that was my first group I played with. I created a Savage group at one point, but Yeah, and I've played other games, but not role playing. Ultima is pretty much the only role playing game I do, and it's always an orc. These days, it's purely orc.
Yeah, and it's funny, and some people may find it interesting, but like I know, like when I'm streaming and I'm getting kind of into it, it's really a separate character than me in my normal life, and so I can kind of I'm starting to draw parallels to in my head. I'm like, man, role playing sucks, and then I remember someone told me because I was like, I don't role play, and they're like, dude, you're playing Ultima Online, you are role
Oh yeah, yeah.
playing, whether you understand or not, you are.
And you're role playing a fencer, you're role playing a poison mage, and so on. And I don't know, I've always been the orcs. I just stayed with it. I've tried to go to other games playing under Omeg and
Right.
go from there, and I just never. Ultima has it. Like, I don't know.
No, I know. Yeah, for sure. No, and that's why I find it just it's so interesting that this game and how many people it has touched and affect. Now, okay, so I remember you saying at the beginning you weren't really a PKer. So explain to me what was the transition to Omeg the Miner, who's making ring mail, to now Omeg with a lethal poison Chris that's coming at you full speed.
So I think it changed when I got DSL. It,
Yeah.
it's because like I said, I role played that I was blind because I literally couldn't keep up with people.
Yeah.
So I role played that I had a huge backstory between all the gods. We have 3 different gods and stuff like that, and I role played that I had a unfortunate smelting accident like Austin Power, like Goldmember in Austin
Yeah.
Powers. And so I role played I was blind, so I would run complete opposite direction of where we were fighting,
Right.
and they would find me in the middle of the woods, just sitting with my warhammer. But it all started with, I think, DSL. I think that's
Right.
when I was like, "Oh, I can actually keep up with people these days." And all right, let's have a battle now. And compared to seeing one frame of a person, then gone again.
And walk me through too. Like, I mean, I'll be honest. Between there's a few of you. I know you're one, and there's a few others that if we see in the field, we have to kind of go for you guys first because you are the better like PvPers for sure. And if we don't get you all off the field quickly, it can kind of spiral.
So it's always we have our shot callers and stuff like that, like Nerol and stuff on our Saturday nights. He's one of the big shot callers, but we're getting so big these days, bigger than or maybe same size we were back in the OSI days that it was we have our main guys, but we're starting to evolve where we're having a couple different leaders. Like if Nerol goes down, I'll take over calls if I'm on. And
Okay.
we're starting to transition where and now we have a new group coming through the ranks that they're already really good, and they're even taking groups out by themselves now and running around and being able to call the shots.
Well, and I'll just, for everyone listening to, I'll tell you this, Cobra Kai, the guild that I run, we do stealth runs, but usually it's like maybe 2 to 5 at the max. One night we tried, it was like 10 people, and I really wanted to break my keyboard in half because it was so frustrating.
We have a couple orcs that they're pure PVMers, and we take anybody. Like
Yeah,
we'll take anybody. You start at the low level, so you're low risk to us, and we treat you like dirt. We treat like we what you have to wear brown boots. If you don't have boots on, you're running around the fort. Like we want to make it so you wear non-GM armor. Like
yeah.
we treat you like dirt. If you can last through that, okay. Then we know we put you on some quests and stuff like that. But once you get past there, we know you're a decent PvPer. But when we start getting 25, 30 people on some of these nights,
Yeah.
the comms are absolutely bananas. Half of them are drunk. It is insane.
No, I'm glad because yeah, I had a really it was to the point where after that night, I told some of my leaders, I'm like, hey, I think we're gonna have to just do groups of 2 to like 4 max because it's too hard not to run into someone while hidden to reveal yourself because for everyone that's listening, if you don't play Outlands, a lot of these guilds, if you're red and they see you and they see a big group, they're gonna say in alliance chat, hey, blah 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 is in this dungeon, and you'll be raided very quickly. So it's like this cat and mouse game to really not reveal yourself until you really want to.
Yeah, and we have different nights or different things. Like Saturday nights, the server knows that we raid the dungeons Saturday nights
Yeah.
with 20 to 30 people, and we'll just half the time we don't even have a chance to loot you because we'll just start getting pounded. Once they see a couple of us, the word goes out, and the Blues are known at, on Outlands Pass, CFC,
Yes.
but, a bunch of the bigger guilds will come out, and even some of the other PK guilds will start raiding us. And
Yeah.
it's funny because we have so big of numbers that the reds or the other guilds will start all logging on their blues and teaming up with people that they PK
Right.
themselves. They all team up and we get some huge battles sometimes, and we start looting. We're passing around, arrows, bolts between people. Oh, I found this on this guy, and we're fighting with, naked with a war mace just to try to keep up with everybody just swarming us.
Right. Oh yeah. No, I think what we've learned is when we do it, even in groups of 2 to 3 are best. But sometimes we'll even bring a blue looter just to loot, because if you don't have someone getting the juice out, yeah, once you die, that's it. It's game over.
Yeah, especially in the dungeons. That
Yeah.
was I started rolling on Omeg. I started rolling with pack horses. I would bring 5 pack horses with me.
Yeah.
So we would start filling the pack horses, and we tried that a couple nights, but once we just start getting hit by the spawn, and we just figured it was too much of a headache. So if we kill you on some Saturday night or whatever night where it's a big group of us, go loot your corpse. I'm sure there's still some stuff on it because we
Yeah.
we don't have time to pick it up.
Yeah. We cleared last night. I ended my stream, and then hey guys, quick sponsored commercial break here. This podcast specifically is sponsored by Death Wish Coffee. I want y'all to head over deathwishcoffee.com. Use code Ultima Online. It's a special code that only is available for listeners of this podcast. It gets you a nice discount. Look, the fact is, I'm sure everyone drinks coffee. I know I do. I use this product. I've been using it for about 3, 4 years now. I've been sipping Death Wish coffee. It is unbelievable. If you want to support me, you want to support this podcast, you believe in my vision, let me tell you, Death Wish is basically literally fueling me with coffee to pursue my passion, which is expanding this podcast as far as we can go. So please check them out. And honestly, give me some feedback. Let me know if you guys have tried it. I know I've gotten a couple people have already ordered stuff. Sincerely, thank you. But thank you very much, guys. We went, all of us, to the new Nucero dungeon, or level, the new level, whatever, with the new
Yeah.
drags, and we cleared it, dude. We killed everyone that was there, and it was one of the most intense things we've ever done. It was so much fun.
Yeah, and I heard that place is pretty cool. Today's the first day I've logged in about 2 weeks. I played for one battle last night and then I had
Yeah,
to get off. But yeah, Sunday nights where if I'm able to, I host a ambush night where we used to all be stealthers,
yeah.
but we were starting to get 10 to 15 stealthers. We couldn't, like you were saying. There was no we and some of the guys are PVMers,
Right,
and so it's the targeting and stuff like that. It started getting a little difficult, so we turned it into just hiding. We just pick a spot and hide,
right.
and we just okay. We're starting to get everybody on board, like attack next, or next target attack, and we're all archers.
Yeah,
And so that's, like you got hit with it that one time. We're starting to ambush night get really in the flow of things, having a bigger group because one person will pop out and it ruins the whole attack plan.
right. Oh, I know. And okay, pro tip: that new dragon is damn near a one-shot kill to kill you.
Can't wait to see that one.
Yeah, but no, man, my point in all saying this is it's a newfound respect, because it is so difficult to organize that many people effectively. Rather, it's very hard.
Like you
So
said, yeah, we're orcs, and so literally half, if not 3/4 of the people in comms are absolutely hammered.
that's really funny. So okay, walk me through too as well. How did you like? Do you enjoy the crafting aspect of UO? And you clearly still do it. What kind of drives you to do that?
So crafting, like I said, I was a smithy for a while. It was fun then, but now it's my time's so short. So I finally have a 120 alchemist,
Okay.
and that's pretty much what I do. It's just buy regs and fill the kegs because we figured out carrying 25 cures when you fight Mustache is must needed. So I carry, on my main character, Omeg, I carry about 35 kegs, so I die a lot. So
Yeah.
crafting, alchemist is what I do. We prioritize out to other high ranking guys to access our resources to do that, but
Right.
al- alchemist is all I do.
Well, and I can tell even when I'm streaming sometimes you hear me say, I'm like, how many cures does this guy have? I'm like, I've seen him burn 15 to 20. He's got to be low.
Yeah, I've rewatched. If I know if I fought you one of the times, I'll go back and rewatch the stream to see. And you're like, "Damn, Omeg, how many cures do you have?"
Yeah, because as much as people have a lot of I would say complaints about the poisoning system, which perhaps it could use adjustment. I mean, the counters just bring more cures.
Sorry, I had a horrible cough. Poison, just my bad. Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Like the counter is just more cures. That's it.
Yeah, that's all it is. And that's we're telling some of our guys that, I'm included in there when I get, poisoned a bunch or, fireballed or,
Yeah.
it, you just got to come up with something to counter it and can't take it serious. That's the biggest thing with PvP. Just don't take it too serious because I had days where I've lost probably 200k, 250k in res fees
Right.
just, and I didn't kill anybody. I literally did not kill one person.
Yeah.
Couldn't, yeah, just start carrying kegs, I guess.
Well, and I think one of the interesting parallels that most people probably don't know is really with, the group of guys I run with, we have a very similar mentality to the orcs in which, whoever rolls with us, death is coming and we don't care because we know it's coming. It's just the restock, there's no whining and we're right back in. That's kind of our mentality. I think that's the same with the orcs.
100%. You have to, you're gonna die. And people, that's how there's a lot of people that we recruit. We recruit brand new people to UO. I have a, recruiting bot and stuff, and it's, hey man, just to let you know, you're gonna die a lot. And they start worrying and wanting to go loot their body, on
Yeah.
another character. Like, dude, leave it. Like, that's why we wear ring mail and GM armor. Like,
Right.
leave it. Like, it's fine. Just go get more. We fill it up. Don't worry about it.
Right, like we were doing the mausoleum boss last night. We got wiped a few times. We've never done that boss. It was really challenging, and a few times it was like, hey, just don't even worry about going to your corpse. It's too hard. Just go to the shelf, restock GM leather and 50 each reg or whatever, and come back. It's faster.
It's way faster. And, if because we have actually a pretty good sized PVM group, and we get targeted a lot in dungeons just because of being an orc. Because they're like, oh, you're a blue orc and stuff. And we have a handful of our guys that PVM guys are red now, and they have to sit out, for 3 days because
Right.
someone talked smack to them and they just killed them with their blue. And you're like, okay, fine. And then they lose their Averite, their high end gear, but they've learned, they're like, yeah, it's my fault, whatever. Or, just going down the line, just go restock. Let's go.
Yes, most people that join us, we tell them, hey, if you're PVMing, you need to turn off your guild title. They're like, why?
Oh
Like,
man.
well, it might be you may have a better time.
Yeah. So we have a rule, you can't turn it off unless you're a thief. So we're like, hey, that's just part of being an orc. You're gonna
Yeah,
get targeted, and in a good, size group now where we'll have a group PVMing, a group on ships, we'll have a group PKing, we'll do hit squads of 5 guys, and then we'll have guys taming creatures, high end creatures, because the market's so huge. And so they'll put out
yeah.
a hit. All right, let's go.
Oh yeah, no, it's so much fun. I definitely enjoy it. Okay, so walk me through what's on the horizon for the orcs and for Omeg for you.
Oh, my time has dwindled to near none because of working so much and just to weekends now. But for the Urk as a total, we have 3 very active tribes now within
Explain
the.
that. Like, what does that mean?
So we have, Urk, Bloodrock clan is our main group, but then we have tribes within our group. So we have the Dead Schools, which I'm a part of.
Okay.
Um, there are pretty much our hiders, our PKers, like our specialists. They have
Yeah.
stealth, archery is pretty. Hiding, stealth, and archery are pretty much their skill set, or poisoners. And we have like a couple mages that are in it, like 2 or 3 mages that are in it, and then we have our ship our ship squad, and
Yeah.
they're pretty much just on the water, and we call them. They actually make us a ton of money. They the water game is insane on this server to
Yeah.
get gold and doubloons, and they make us a lot of gold and donate a lot of resources. So, but to make fun of them, those are sea kittens. That's or sea kittens or water wings is what we call them, and then they show us how much they donated, and we just brush that to a side because we don't like that. And then we have a new tribe called that's our PVM group, like our dungeon group, and so they'll pick a dungeon, and that's where they'll farm, and
Okay.
they do their own boss and level up their gear, and they all have different. If you see different color boots or sashes, that means they're on a certain tribe.
Oh, okay.
So gray is Dead Skulls. Like aqua blue is our Sea Kittens, and then our new PVM tribe is like a light brown, the artesian aspect color. I think they went
Right.
with. Yeah. So and then we do battles within each other. We just had a huge resource event where we had a contest. You got different amount of points for collecting regs or logs or just all the resources or gold, donating gold even,
Wow.
and
Okay.
raised over in a 2 week span we raised about 10 million in profit for the guild.
Wow. That's huge. Now, do you guys ever experience like people joining to like troll you guys or what?
Oh man. So I'm known as like Mr. Nice Guy, one of the nice guy clan or group within Orcs, because I'll res guys after we kill them and so
Yeah.
on. So one of the earlier days, we all throughout our history, we've had people loot our stuff. Like back in the day, you didn't have the shelf, so you had just chests,
Right.
like a dungeon chest filled with all Gorgets and all this and all that. Well, we had constant problems. So what we did from the very beginning is we separate our buildings. So like I said earlier, I refill 4 different shelves or 3 shelves
Yeah.
throughout our fort area because the low rank guys have only access to that shelf, and so
Yeah.
on. So we split up our resources so we don't bundle it up. But yeah, we get people that loot stuff. The one story with me is I had my house inside our fort walls, and I logged in one day, and I always hide my characters before I log out. Well, I logged in one day and I see this low-ranking guy, Snaga, sitting in my hut, and then every so often in UO you can see the item being moved.
Right.
Like
Like dragged. Yeah.
yeah, and I'm sitting there and I see my aspect cores moving. Uh, huh. So I opened all the chests and I'm watching my stuff just disappear. One chest was completely already empty. And
Holy
I'm like,
crap.
so I pop out and I was like, I was on Omeg and I was like, excuse, like, all in Orcish, of course. And he's like, oh, I was just looking. And then I was like, wait a second. And there was a ton of people outside. I think we're getting ready for an event. And the dude took off out of the house. And for some reason, I had the most horrible lag spike you possibly could imagine. And I ran out, and then I was able to type out chase him. And when the high ranking orc tells you to kill someone, especially another orc, no
Yeah.
hesitation. Our other orcs will drop that guy in a heartbeat. And so our guys just chased him, and then got hit with the lag spike and disappeared. And the guy disappeared, and we're like, "What the heck?" And so we're in Discord, like, "What's going on?"
Right.
So we started checking our shelves, and he cleaned out our Snaga shelf, our low ranking shelf. He completely cleaned us out of all of our materials and everything.
Wow.
Yeah, so I put a bounty, I think, of 100K for his head, and we hunted around Outlands, and we got multiples of his head. We followed him around, and then we never saw the character again.
He probably deleted it, I'm sure.
Yeah, His was K apostrophe VOTHE. I have his head in my house because I paid our guys to go get it.
Man, yeah, because like I know for me, I have two. I mean, we're not as big, but I have two shells. I have, one for the training guys who are training, a little bit newer. I don't really know them as well. And it just has regs, regular GM stuff. We put it very similar to what you guys do. And then we have a main shelf that's for higher ranking people that has, yeah, all the good stuff. Because, yeah, it's just, people are going to do that. It's like you have to expect a troll or two.
Oh, 100%. It's amazing, and Outlands has that, history log
Right.
where you can look at the history and you're like, "Yep, there it goes." All of it, and you're just like, "Oh, well," and we some of our guys that we trust are like the newer ones are like losing their minds, and you're like, this is what happens.
Right.
It's you can't vet every single person that comes through the ranks, and I put it up outside the newbie bot that or the newbie dungeon. We'll take anybody. Like I said
Yeah.
earlier, we don't care if you're new to UO, just come on down and we'll get you geared up head to toe and let you roll, but you have to go through some processes.
Yeah, I mean, because at the end of the day, I'm like, well, dude, if you're gonna steal 5K each reg, I mean, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it's not like you're. It seems so trivial, the amount that to go through all that to steal just that. It seems, who would do that? But you'd be surprised.
Guys don't play UO for very long. We found out, over the just they don't last in the game.
Right.
They stuff, and the game is about for most people, it's about having a small group, big group, whatever, but playing with people in this type of game. And so once you start alienating yourself, you just lose interest in the game and they're gone.
Well, and it's very interesting because one of the guys he's our main crafter is Chopper from back in the day, AskChopper.com. He was the exploit guy, and it's funny that knowing his story and now going to 2021, it's like there really hasn't been, I don't know if I would say exploits or bugs to that existed like back in the day. It's kind of changed.
So they really went through some work. I've heard of a couple bugs, but they're really quick on finding them. How
Right.
everything serialized, the numbers and it hasn't wrecked the economy or anything. I really like how it's been fine tuned for the 20 years it's been out, 25 years or whatever.
Well, and I think too, and I'm always with the good comes the bad. I think the bad thing is some people forget like getting scammed.
Yes. And being a young kid, you're like, wait, I can trick someone into doing something and get it for free? Let me test this out.
Right, like the bag thing, the weight thing. I mean, there was so many different scams and schemes back in the day that, we won't really ever see it again. I understand the reasoning, right? I'm in my 30s now, get off my lawn. I'm old and cranky. I don't want to deal with that kind of scamming.
Exactly. I did stuff back in the day, like trying to get the reward die tubs.
Yeah.
Some of them were blessed. And so I would try to get those, telling people to come here and gate them, or try to get people as they're running across Brit Bank and hit a gate as they run across, and you would automatically go through the gate. Yeah, doing
Well, I
stuff like
mean, too, the difference, and this is the evolution of the game, is, we have thousands of people. There's not millions, you
that.
know.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, when I scammed people in the past with my thief or just being a, piece of crap when I was a punk kid, who cares? I probably never saw that guy ever again.
Yeah, in Outlands, granted, Owen posted earlier today when I was making potions, 11 people were online.
Wow. Yeah, right. And I think for people, everyone listening that doesn't know, Outlands is yeah, that is the biggest numbers, we've really ever seen for this extended period of time on a shard. But you don't know everyone, but you have a general sense of who is who.
Oh, yeah, yeah, you definitely, like, especially, like, guilds, you know the guilds, you know what they're about, it's not, "Oh, there's, a bunch of little tiny guilds." There's some big guilds on Outlands, and, the tiny guilds back in the OSI days, someone could make their guild and they would just run by themselves.
Like I remember, man, joining a guild just to kill people at Brit Bank. I would stay for like a week, and they'd be all green, and then I would roll through Brit Bank, kill them, take their loot, and then leave.
Yeah, the only other big guild I think I was in was Church of Permafrost, C*P, and they were
Okay.
huge factions. And I think I originally joined to try to do something along those lines, but I ended up liking it so much that I ended up not doing anything and just stayed.
Well, because I think too, people forget back then there was really no voice, chat that was that big. I mean, I remember when ICQ became popular and it was next level because I could message you when you weren't online.
Yep, and leave a message for them. It's like first time, text messaging at that
Yeah,
time.
right.
Yeah, I
And
remember what Ventrilo was, and then there's another one that was
TeamSpeak.
big. TeamSpeak. Yeah, and my computer couldn't handle it, so I couldn't do voice, and
Well,
so
still, people back then, not everyone had a mic. It wasn't as popular. Like now, I mean, hell, you have Discord on your phone. You could chat. So there's really pretty much no excuse to at least just listen in, right? But that just was another level of being anonymous, where you could create different alt accounts, scam or whatever.
oh yeah, that was it. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I still remember people trying to scam and doing on IRC, and yeah, you're right. You don't see that much these days. I don't. Maybe it's just because we're all older and there's not many little kids, playing now.
Well, I think it's rarer too. Like when I talk to someone on voice, there is a little bit level of like trust and kind of, I don't know. To me, it's harder to scam when you have a little bit deeper relationship. To me at least, I don't know.
Yeah, that's true also. Yeah, come to think about it, because you're putting a voice, not just letters. You're putting a
Yeah.
voice to to a name.
Right. No, for sure. So okay, now jumping into this, if because I'm kind of interested what your response is going to be. If you had, let's just say the blank check scenario, someone gave you, you won the lotto, whatever. Obviously our addictions are UO. What would you do for UO? And I'm just going to say UO as a whole. It doesn't have to be just for Outland specifically. What was some of your ideas? How would you, spend it?
Man, like you brought up earlier, because I think about this all the time, bringing up Ultima Online 2.0,
Yeah.
but doing, say Shadowbane graphics where you build walls and stuff like that, and but with all the core of Ultima, you have
Yeah.
to just the resource gathering and all of it, just 3D graphics. That's pretty much I've dabbled in other games, but there's too trammy based. I still
Yes.
want to go around and PK people. I still want to doing that, but bring Ultima to the new age. That's what I would spend the money on.
And I think there's an interesting new project that was brought to my attention that I did check out a little bit. I'm going to be talking to him next. But you remember Legends of Aria?
I've heard of the game, and I think I watched someone stream it before, but I've never really went into the a wiki of it.
Okay, so Legends of Aria is it has a lot of UO mechanics, like more than the average game we've ever seen. It has the updated graphics that you're like exactly what you're talking about. However, there's a group of devs that have created this thing called Legends of Ultima, and they took this system and they're going to release it I think in June, but they basically threw all of UO and they put it into this system, and it's actually pretty interesting. It's very close to what you're talking about. It would almost be like, to me, a proof of concept, right? Like this is what it could be.
Yeah, that would be great. I think that's computers are getting so good these days. Like I built this during COVID. I was laid off for 3 months. I built this gaming machine, so I'm rocking two 32-inch gaming
Yeah.
monitors. And I can run virtual reality and everything else. So if I love UO so much, if I can just get a UO that can
Right.
use the resources of my computer, that would
But
be amazing.
yeah, I joke I got this 3080 top of the line graphics card. I'm playing UO.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, "Oh, what games are you playing? Are you running COD at full
Right.
FPS?" Like, "Nah, man, I play Ultima Online." They're like, "What do you play?" uh, um,
Well,
a wizard
yeah,
game. Uh, they're like,
right.
"Oh, let me look at it." I'm like,
You wouldn't
well,
understand.
2D graphics. Like, why in the bleep are you playing that?
Well, I will say, in defense, the classic QO client, man, the quality of life changes have been like next level. Do you agree?
Oh man, so when I came back, so I had like a gaming computer that was probably 10 years old.
Yeah.
I got out of high school. I used to build computers all the time, and then I just built this one. But so I had the gaming computer when Outland started, that old one, and then my
Okay.
computer crashed, and so I was gone for a while. But then I built a tough book for my shop, like a old 13-inch like police laptop.
I remember those. Those are like
Yeah,
rugged.
yeah, so I can
Yeah.
throw it around and it has like suspension inside of the hard drive type of thing and rubber. So I built one for my shop. Well, I got bored one day and during before right when COVID started, and I was like, wait a second. So I loaded up Discord and I found Knee again, and they were still
Yeah.
playing Outlands. Well, that laptop can't play the original client. I think I was playing on Steam.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so it's still the tiny little screen in the corner, choppy as all get out, 10 FPS, whatever it's
Right.
running at. And so when I built this, they were like, "Yeah, you need to build your computer, build your computer. It's a whole new world, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, whatever." And I was actually doing fairly good because I have great internet. So
Right.
I was still able to PK and stuff. Oh my goodness, when I freaking when I loaded up this Ultima on this gaming computer, stretched out the screen, loaded up the classic client, I'm
Yeah.
like, I waited how long for this?
Yeah. A lot of people, most people know now, but there's still some people that pop into my stream, whoever stream, and be like, dude, what client are you running? How are you so smooth?
Yeah, it's amazing how quick it is, and I'm running the multiple clients, and I get choppy lag here and there, but it's so much better than that little tiny screen you can't even zoom out of.
I will say one thing that, and this is more of a in the weeds technical thing. I did try out. I had a 4K monitor, and I was trying to mess with that, and man, I just gave up. It was so hard to get the window sizing, the text, and I don't. It's not really a UO problem, but more of a technology problem. It's just not ready yet for mainstream. It was just a pain, man, for Windows, and apps aren't optimized for the 4K screens. It was just I ended up returning it because it was a massive pain in the ass, trying to like troubleshoot that.
Yeah, that's when I got my gaming monitors. They're not 4K. I think they're right underneath it,
Probably
and
1440, yeah.
yeah, and I was told don't get 4K yet. There's nothing out there that really, especially what you're playing Ultima. He goes,
Yeah.
you don't need a 4K. Don't even worry about it. So I haven't ran into that, but I can see how that could be a problem.
Yeah, I went to a 1440. It's probably the same one you have, and it's like it's just much better. It's just easier. It's not ready yet.
Yeah.
But okay, so wrapping this up. Okay, besides my killing that we talked about earlier, that was really funny. Um, and you
Wait,
gotta
wait, wait.
have.
Which one? The one I killed you with the bow and shot you, or killed you and shot you with the bow? That one? Or okay, a different one. A different one.
Probably a different one because there's only been like two times I think I've been killed by you. But um,
uh, yeah, probably. Man, another killing.
like okay, well, the full question is just a funny either revenge or troll tactic that you've seen or you've done.
Well, something I've done. So back when Age of Shadows came out, it's just two stories type in one. So there was those swamp dragons
Okay,
that came
yes,
out,
the
the
green
big
ones.
swamp, yeah, the big green ones.
Yep.
So I stayed up when I got the game, I think a couple days before or whatever, and was able to update and everything. I stayed up all night. My dad came into the room. Hey, are you going to school? And he thought I woke up early. No, I never went to bed. Played it, but one of our guys, he didn't like it at all. He's like, "I'm done with you, oh." So he gave me his dragon, his swamp dragon, but he had an ethereal one, the mount
Yeah,
token
yeah,
type
yeah.
thing. Well, I was like, "Yeah, give it to me. If you come back, I'll give it to you. Not a problem." His name's Yule. I'm sure he'll listen. And so he gave it to me.
Okay.
I turned around and immediately sold it for like 1,000,000 gold, like right out of the gate. Like I
Right.
knew this, and so he still brings it up to this day that just just selling his thing, and so I always feel bad every time he brings it up. But yeah, we've done as orcs, we do a lot of stupid stuff. Like we'll run around circles dead, and so our mounts follow us, just pissing people off. We'll do naked runs and kill people, and they run away from us, just trying to troll people, and I giggle really like a little
Explain
girl.
this one to me. I think this was a really good one. How you killed all the people at the newbie trainer on a boat. Because that one caused a lot of grief.
So I usually don't partake in those ones because we actually we actually have a channel in our Discord. It's called the 500 Club.
Okay.
So it's orcs are all about taking heads, getting kills. So
Right.
on Outlands, you have the fees and everything to go with the PKing. Well, the 500 Club is you have to take a screenshot of you getting to 500 kills without 500 kill counts.
Wow.
And so,
Without resing or repenting, right?
yeah, without repenting.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
our res fees are through the roof, and so that's our kind of our long-term goal right now. I think I'm at 300 on my mage or
Whew.
on Omeg, one of the two. I think both of them are at 300. But back to the boat story. So there's gosh, so on Outpost, it all started with Outpost. There's that trainer right outside of the gate.
Yeah. Right.
And so it was so close to the guard zone, people weren't messing with it.
Yeah.
So us being orcs, we're determined to kill them. Like, oh, they think they're safe. We're going to kill them.
Yeah.
And so they didn't have a band bot. So we went in there, killed them all. And people get pissed off. And I felt kind of bad as well. And my daughter had a character in there because she plays UO now too.
Yeah.
And so they killed her, and I had to, okay, it's fine, go get resources. And so it started evolving. And so then they started doing a band bot. So we couldn't go inside anymore.
Right.
So then we would have a suicide orc with a ton of purple potions go in there, and we'd have like 5 of them go throw purple potions in that were blue, and they would die in there. Then they started putting up like walls, line of sight issue. So we were determined, and finally, I think that one's fizzled out, that training post. So now they have the one right outside Prevelia.
Right. Right by the
So
gate. Yeah.
yes, and there's one spot that is unguard zone. There's no guard zones right below the gate, but you can't go north or south or west or east
Yeah.
because each bridge has a guard zone. So that you will auto die. And so we're really looking into it. So our sea kittens with their boats
Right.
found out, hey, we can put a boat right here and we can kill them all and get on the boat and take off.
Oh man.
So that's our new fun game of the day is they all gate in. We have a guy that gates us all right next to him, and everybody, like the people who are there, like look at us and like, what are you doing? And then we shoot them with bows, whatever we do, and then we all try to make it out. But we lose more than we gain there because I died because one of our guys hit me. The guard whacked me instead for retaliating or something, and half the time we lose half of our guys. But
Oh,
every
I
time
just
I've
remember
been
the
there.
video that they posted. Some of them, I guess, recorded or whatever, and it was just so funny and like how much grief people got. Like, and it makes me laugh because I'm like, you don't really have a right to be safe while you're training outside in the wilderness.
No, no, and that's what they tell me because I every once in a while I get, I'm like, guys, do we really need to do this?
Yeah.
Like, I don't. And then they do it. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Here's another 15 DMs in my Discord because they're
Right.
pissed off and chasing people away. But it is part of UO. Maybe that's the biggest trolling thing that we do at this moment
Right.
is, hey, you're not safe. Don't leave your character outside of a guard zone or anything because we will start whacking you.
Oh yeah, and that's UO to its core. But
Yeah, and I had to teach my daughter that because she got PK'd in the dungeon, and she's like, "Get the orcs! Tell the orcs to come get him," because she was
right.
getting so irritated with them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Well, that's UO." And then she was handed a trap pouch at Prevelia Bank or a trapped box, one of the
Oh
explosion
yeah.
boxes. And she's like, "I shouldn't trust him." And she opened it, and boom, and
Yep.
and it's all UO. We've all learned.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I want to say thank you very much, Omeg, for joining me. I think this has been a really funny conversation, and I think to me it's very insightful on some of the inner workings of the orcs because I think for a lot of us, we don't really know or understand how it works. So truly, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And like I said, we're always recruiting, and if you can handle us picking on you 24/7 in Discord and in game, you deserve to be an orc. So it's whatever.
No, I get it. No, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, not a problem.